Alright, so I'm going to show how to open up and disassemble this DELL XPS 139365. So first what you want to do is remove all the screws. So these are all T5 screws, so remove the 4 on the bottom, 2 on these sides, and then the 2 towards the back. Then open this up, and then there's a screw in the middle. I believe that is a P0 Phillips screwdriver. So remove all of those. Once you do that, it's pretty simple to open it up. Just go around the edges with a pry tool or your fingernail. Alright, and then just go around, just like this. Alright, just get it between the little edges. And then pry it open. Let's see, hopefully you can see this. It's kind of difficult to do this with it being in the camera view. Let's see here. Okay, just like that. Alright, and go around. Be careful with the little air grills here on the side. Okay, so just keep going around, just like this. Alright. Alright, and then you'll see it can pop up just like that. Alright, so that's how you remove the cover. Alright, then to remove the battery, there's a bunch of screws on the inside as well. There are 8 screws, so there's 2 here, and then 2 on the sides here, and then you got 4 along the bottom, so just remove all of those. The 2 up here are different, they're longer and different, they're also silver, so make sure not to get them all mixed up. To remove the battery connector, just use your fingernails or pry tool on the wings of the white connector and just wiggle it out just like that. Alright, to lift the battery out, just lift this up and then you can pull it out. Okay. Alright, then usually once I remove the battery, I like to hold the power button just to drain any power. Alright, so do that. Usually you'd want to open it partially. Since the hinges don't have as many screws holding it down, make sure to open it slowly and carefully. You don't want to quickly open and close the screen or you can break the hinges. Alright, so just hold the power button down, drain it. Alright, there you go. And as you can see, there's a trackpad cable here. So to disconnect these, there's these little latches you can lift up and then you can pull the connectors out. I'm going to leave them in because I don't need to change anything on here. I just need to change the battery. But here you can see there's the connector for the LEDs. Got the connector here, I believe, for fingerprint sensor. Yep, for the fingerprint sensor. Okay, then you got the cable here for the power button. And then you got a connector here. I believe TS is for touchscreen. So for that, you just pull it back. There's no wings on the white connector, but you basically got to do the same thing. Kind of like get your fingernail or pry tool in there and then kind of wiggle it and it'll come out. If you can't do that, you can try grabbing on the back of here and wiggling it, but you want to be careful because you don't want to put too much strain on the cables here. Then you got a M.2 SSD here. Let me see, I'll open that up. There's actually 2 screws holding it in place. So you want to remove those. They look like also P0 or J0 screws. Alright, so you need to remove these 2 screws so that way you can remove this little heatsink thing that's on top. Alright, this is the first time I'm actually taking this part out, so yeah, be careful touching this. That's a heat pad, thermal pad, so if you get it dirty and stuff, it's not going to conduct the heat as well. But here you can see this is, I believe, a PCIe NVMe M.2 SSD. So you can replace it with another one if you wanted to upgrade. Yep, NVMe. Okay, so to remove that, of course, you just lift it up and then you just wiggle it back and then pull it out. So same thing with putting it back in. Okay, then now let's put this back. Alright, and then you got the LCD connector under this. Let me see, I'm not going to disconnect it, but I'm going to lift it, take the screws off the little cover just to see. Usually it's one where you kind of pop it up. Let's see here. Alright. Oh, the screw's kind of stuck. Okay. There we go. Alright, so just remove that. remove that. And yes, so this one has one of those connectors where you just pop it up. So you pull on this little plastic tab, and I like to use my fingernail as well, or a pry tool, and kind of pry underneath to get it up if it doesn't come out easily. But basically you just use this and pull it out. Okay, usually I like to try and pull one side first. I'm going to leave it in there. Well, actually, I'll show you how to do it. So basically you just grab this little connector. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. And then I pry like the edge like that, and it pops out just like that. Okay. And if you remove the LCD connector, make sure that you drain the power. You don't want to pull the connector out if there's still power in the board, because that can actually cause a short and fry the motherboard. Okay, so I'm going to put that back now. Alright, so that's how you remove that. And then the CPU is soldered to the board, and it's underneath that copper, I guess, heat sink. Yeah, so basically this will kind of pull the heat away from the CPU and kind of spread it to a much larger thermal mass to hopefully keep it cool. There aren't any fans in this thing, so there's nothing that really removes the heat, so it just kind of puts all the heat here and then it slowly dissipates. You got the wireless card under here that's also soldered to the motherboard or logic board. To remove the antennas, you just pull from the tail. Don't try and pry it from the front, but when you pry from the tail, it'll pop up at an angle and it'll come out. Then you got another connector here. I believe this also goes into the screen, but I'm not sure what it's for. Maybe the webcam and things like that. And then got the CMOS or the BIOS battery here. And you got the speaker connector here that runs to this speaker. Then the wire runs all the way to the other speaker here. But that's pretty much it. There's not much else to the inside of this machine. It looks like the board would be pretty simple to remove. You just need to take all the screws out and disconnect all these other cables. And same thing with the screen. You just disconnect all the cables that go into the screen and remove these screws. You will have to open it like 90 degrees before you undo the screws, so that way you can lift out the hinges. But yeah, other than that, there's not much else to this thing. I think the trackpad's also removable if you remove these big screws, and the keyboard is also removable if you remove all these big screws and the little screws holding it in place. So if you need to replace the trackpad or keyboard, it is replaceable, but you do have to take out a whole bunch of stuff for the keyboard. The trackpad, you just probably have to take out these few screws and all this tape. Alright, hopefully that video helped you. If it did, please like and subscribe because that'll help me, and thank you for watching. Bye.